Essie stumbled back into the village, her body battered and her spirit broken. Her parents saw her approach and they rushed to her side with concern. Within seconds, the elders also arrived, their faces filled with anger and disappointment. "Essie, tell us now, where is the baby?" the priest asked. Essie looked at them with fear in her eyes, but she knew what she had to say. "I killed him. I buried him deep in the forest, where no one will ever find him." The elders exchanged glances, and Openinsawah, the village's most revered elder, stepped forward. "Well done, Essie. You have done the right thing. The village is safe because of your courage." Essie nodded weakly, but she was screaming inside. She hadn't killed the god. Instead, she had unleashed a force far more dangerous than anyone could comprehend. As the days passed, strange things began to happen. It started with the children. One by one, they disappeared without a trace. Families searched everywhere, but no one could find them. Then, the grown-ups also started vanishing. Mothers, fathers, friends and neighbors. People were simply gone and no one understood what was going on. No one except Essie. Essie knew the truth. The god was taking them and stealing their lives one by one. But she could not bring herself to confess the truth. She cried herself to sleep every night. She could see the faces of the missing children in her dreams. The guilt was too much to bear, but still she said nothing. Openinsawah was the first to grow suspicious. She knew something was wrong, and she had to take action before it was too late. She voiced her concerns to the other elders, and they agreed to confront Essie and question her. The next morning, they barged into her parents' house, forcing her to step outside. Essie stood trembling as they encircled her, their faces a mix of fear and desperation. "Essie," Openinsawah began, "lead us to the place where you buried the child, now." Essie's heart pounded as she reluctantly led them into the woods. The entire village followed behind her. Each step felt heavier than the last, and as they neared the spot where she had last seen the god, Essie felt the weight of her lies suffocating her. Finally, she fell to her knees and confessed the truth. "I didn't kill him," she cried out. "I lied. I was tricked by the god." The villagers gasped in shock, and the elders were furious. They grabbed Essie by the arms and dragged her to the village square, where the entire community gathered to witness her punishment. Her fate was sealed and everyone knew it. "You have brought doom upon this village," one of the elders shouted. "You must pay for your actions." But before they could lay a hand on her, a strong wind swept through the crowd and a figure appeared. It was the god, now fully grown, a tall, imposing man with an aura of power that made the villagers tremble in fear. "If anyone dares to harm her, they will face my wrath." The crowd froze in terror as he walked over to Essie. He grabbed her hand, and in a blink of an eye, they vanished together. When Essie opened her eyes, they were standing in a strange forest. "Where are we?" she asked, her voice shaking. The god smiled darkly. "These trees are the people who have disappeared from your village. I have trapped them, just as I was once trapped." Essie's heart dropped as she looked around at the twisted gnarled trees. Each one held a soul, the souls of the innocent villagers, now lost forever. Essie pleaded with him to have mercy on them, but the god was unfazed. "I will not stop until your entire village is gone. But don't worry, I will keep you safe. After all, you have to stay alive for me to live." Essie's eyes widened with shock and confusion when she heard the god's words. What does he mean by "I have to stay alive for him to live"? She asked herself. Then it hit her. She was a source of the god's life, and it was for this reason that he had rushed to save her. Essie had just uncovered a crucial detail that could change everything. As the god disappeared into the woods once again, she remained calm, for she had thought of a master plan. When Essie returned to the village, the atmosphere had changed. Everyone was afraid of her, and though villagers were still going missing, no one dared confront her after the god's terrifying display. Essie knew she couldn't waste any more time. She immediately sought out Openinsawah and the priest in secret, gathering them in her parents' home. "I have a plan," Essie began. "I just discovered that our lives are linked. I am the source of the god's life, and whatever happens to me might happen to him as well." Openinsawah frowned. "What are you suggesting, child?" I need you to prepare the same ritual that was used to bind him to the tree all those years ago. But this time, instead of binding him directly, you'll perform the ritual on me. If I'm trapped, so will he." Openisewa's gaze softened with sorrow. "You know what you are asking for, don't you? Once the ritual is performed, you will never be free." Essie nodded, tears welling up in her eyes. "I know, but it is the only way to save the village. If we don't stop him, he will destroy the entire village, just like he said." Essie's parents, who had been silent up until now, broke down in tears, but it was not enough to change Essie's mind. Openisewa nodded solemnly. "Then it is settled. We will prepare the ritual." The preparations took days, but the time finally came. At dawn, on the appointed day, the village priest, joined by priests from neighboring villages, led Essie to the secret grounds where the forbidden tree still stood. As the ritual began, Essie was terrified, but she knew that this was her last chance to make things right. The priests chanted, their voices rising in unison, and the wind began to stir around them. Suddenly, the god appeared. He was furious, his eyes blazing with anger. "What is this? What do you think you're doing?" His voice thundered through the air, causing the ground to shake. Essie stood her ground, even as her body trembled with fear. "I'm stopping you," she said firmly. "I won't let you destroy my village." The god's face twisted in rage, but before he could take another step, the ritual's magic began to take hold, and an invisible force grabbed him. Essie felt it too, a strange heavy sensation that tugged at her very soul. The god attempted to resist, but it was too late. The ancient magic was too powerful, and soon both he and Essie were drawn toward the tree. In a blinding flash of light, they were gone, bound to the tree for eternity. The ritual was over. Essie and the god were trapped, just as they had intended, and the priest sighed in sorrow. The next morning, as the sun rose, the villagers were met with an astonishing sight. The people who had disappeared, both children and adults, began to return. They were greeted by their respective families with cries of joy and relief. But as the villagers rejoiced, something unexpected happened. From the direction of the forest, a figure appeared. It was Essie. She was walking toward them, her expression calm but determined. Openisewa approached her cautiously. "How is this even possible? How are you free?" Essie smiled softly, though her eyes were filled with sorrow. "The tree spat me out," she replied. "The prison was meant solely for the god, and so I was freed." The priests murmured among themselves, realizing that the ritual had worked differently than they had expected. The god was gone, the village was saved, and all the chaos was over. But deep down, Essie knew that the cause of her careless decision would stay with her forever. As she stood in the center of the village, she silently vowed to never forget the lesson she had learnt. And though the god was trapped in the tree, she knew that somewhere deep within the forest, his spirit would always be watching. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comment section. If you enjoyed this story, please like, share and subscribe for more amazing stories. I'll see you in the next one.